assembly with 1,500 people. We were very anxious to hear the founder, Mary Kay Ash, speak about her company so I could decide whether I'd go forward or I would continue to be quit in the quit zone. So we were sitting there in the very first row, and this group was so excited. They were happy, happy people. And my husband were very leery of these very happy people. And then all of a sudden the music started playing and everybody jumped up, and we knew that we were going to have an opportunity to hear from Mary Kay Ash to tell us about her company. But instead the crazy people, the happy people, started to sing. They sang about this enthusiasm thing. And to our horror, we were blocked in on that front row and we couldn't leave. Everyone sat down, and then Mary Kay Ash came to the stage and she talked about her dream. And she leaned across the podium and she talked about just helping women and making dreams come true for people, and how lives would be changed if we would dare to just agree that we would commit to be a part of her dream. Well, I don't know if you remember the movie Jerry Maguire, when Renee Zellweger said, "You had me at hello?" Well, Mary Kay had my heart that day, with her soft voice, with her big dream, with her bodacious goals. So what changed my career from that inactive, doubtful consultant to landing in the #1 NSD position? Well, I can tell you it's easy. I became a believer. You see, I believe in the Mary Kay dream. I can look at most people and say, my conviction is greater than your doubt, because I am a believer. I've always had a vision. I've always had a great vision. But that day, all those years ago, almost 40, I bought into the promise of the success of Mary Kay. Mary Kay was the picture of how things could be, how far we could go. And my job today is to be the picture for you. You know, throughout the years that I've grown up in the Mary Kay world, I have known the women who were the superstars of Mary Kay. Most of those Mary Kay girlfriends are emeritus now, and I still talk to them. And you know what? They're living the good life. And you know why they're living that good life? Because they, too, were believers. Well, do you have a dream? Do you believe in a dream? You have to believe in your dream. Here we are approaching the 50th anniversary year with so many possibilities ahead of us. But we have to ask ourselves, where will I be on that 50th anniversary? January 4th, just last week, was my 30th anniversary year as a national sales director.
Wow!
And I was thinking about that over the years, my goodness. I was thinking about the stages we go through, and I thought of the 3 stages that a career goes through. It goes through a pioneer stage, it goes through a growth stage, and it goes through a money stage. And when I think back to my pioneer stage, I think back to when I came home from that conference in Atlanta. You know, I had a bigger vision. I now had a tremendous passion and a goal to become a director, but I still had the same skill, and I still had no recruits. So I was on my own. My director was in South Carolina, I was in New Jersey, and I wanted to be a director. You know, your circumstances are never all going to be, when you hit the road, that the lights are all going to be green. You have to work around your circumstances. You have to stay focused on your dreams. So I started to hold meetings. I secured a room in the back of a church that they would let me use weekly, and so this tiny little group of team members and I would have this weekly meeting, and I would talk about how great we were going to be someday, how successful we were going to be, and how big we were going to grow. You know, it was step by step, it was every day, it was inch by inch, and it was dream by dream. And I did become a director, and my son, first child, turned 1 year old. And you know what? It wasn't always convenient. Then I moved on to the growth years. In 1978, I went to Canada. Mary Kay Cosmetics was opening a new market. It was the Canadian market. And I was a U.S. director with a very small unit of 50 people. I did have 7 Austrian directors, but I needed to grow, and I needed a change. And so I thought, maybe I need to go to a new place. I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't know how to do it, but I just knew that if I would go, I could grow. So I went off And in the short time that I was there on that first trip, I met and recruited 2 women. One of those women signed and sent her starter kit back. The other one signed and became a Cadillac driving offspring director. At that point in my career, I had 2 children, age 5 and age 6 months. You know, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I did it, and it always wasn't convenient, but I did it. So early after that, in the 80s, early 80s, I went to Mexico, spread my wings a little further in the 90s, and went to England. I worked hard in England. I worked there for a long time. I developed a director. I lost a director. I had 3 DIQs, and then I had none. But 14 years later, one of those very, very inactive consultants in my unit decided to change her career path, went on to become a director, is a senior today, has earned her car, and is on pace for the trip, for the UK trip this year. Well, my next step was to the Philippines. Not planning on going, but 8 of my directors decided that they were going to the Mary Kay opening, and so I figured if I'm the leader, maybe I'd better go. So we went. We were there for 1 month on that trip. And for the next year, during the next year, I went back 8 times. It wasn't convenient. But today I have 55 directors there and 1 woman ready to go into NIQ. Today the Sundin area has 10 Offspring National Sales Directors globally, and our whole Sundin family totals over 31 nationals.
Wow.
We were on the grow. And you know what happens when you're on the grow? You go into that 3rd stage of the money years. Well, the truth is the high commissions are paid to those who have a mission and have a vision. They are the payback for all that you do along the way, for all the inconveniences. And it multiplies more than you can imagine. Well, I learned over the years 3 things. I learned to think big, don't follow the crowd, be accountable to someone, and only watch people who are doing great things. I learned number 2, to be responsible, to set the pace for your business. Your team or your unit productivity doesn't count on other people, it counts on you. You are the master team builder. You are the master prospector. You set the pace. What you focus on will expand, but you have to be willing to be inconvenienced. Too many vacations, too much girlfriend time, and too many excuses keep you from success. New National Sales Director Diana Polanco said to a training that I attended that there's only plan A. Plan B is an excuse. Number 3 was keep inventing yourself. Keep inventing yourself. You never stop learning and you never arrive. You have to master one phase of this business and then move on and work on mastering another. Reevaluate what you're doing daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. And if you don't, you're going to keep showing up in the same place. You know, I was looking over the leadership class titles and I saw 2 that I thought were very interesting. 42 million reasons to grow your business. But I don't have 42 million reasons. But you know what I do have? Very soon at seminar, they're going to announce it. I have 15 million reasons. Yes, $15 million in career earnings is a good reason to be a believer. And then there was the second title that I read that just popped right out at me. It was Breaking Out of the Box. And I really chuckled over this one because just last week at this director's meeting that I had, I couldn't help but telling a story about my little white box in my office. I have this little white cardboard box in my office, right by my desk. You know, my commissions come to me from the U.S. and Global, and the U.S. commissions that come to me are direct deposited. My husband gets to have them. And then I get to get the global checks. So I asked to have them sent like real checks. But I have this connection with these checks. I love them. I think they're like my little report cards. They say, good job, it's growing, keep going. So I keep those little checks near my desk. I don't deposit them.